We've been absolutely pounded and drilled with rain here on the beach, but what we've noticed even more is the massive storm surge here. We've been showing you guys this all morning long, and it continues to creep closer and closer to the sand dunes. We have our car here. We've had to move it back about every, say, 20 minutes or so because of how quickly the storm surge has made its way up here. We've been experiencing very strong winds, very heavy rain. There are sandbags, ooh, there we go, my hat, we're taking it off. Sandbags at each building preparing for the potential flooding. We are getting a very, very strong gust there. The main issue we are seeing here is flooding. Now, take a look. There is an SUV here on Gonzales Street that has stalled out. A tow truck right now pulling that SUV out of the flooded water. Of course, now that car is having to get pulled out of the water. Oh no, another SUV possibly going through the same situation. A lot of times, as you can see with that car, you don't see these deep spots of water in the road until it's too late, until you get into the middle of them. So that is why it is so important to be careful. During this time, you don't have to be driving around. Stay inside if you can, and if you do get in a situation, as they say, always turn around, don't drown. Debris has been washing up. There's pieces of wood, I think it's from the railroad tracks that line this road. If you take a look behind me, earlier today we would see a row of lights. Now pitch black, 360 around us.
That's where Renee Beninate has been spending her morning. Rather rain-soaked you look, Renee.
That is absolutely right, Jared. Does it not look like I just got out of a pool or the Gulf right now? We're seeing yellow sign after yellow sign after yellow sign at all of these gas pumps that say sorry, out of service, because they are out of regular gas. Right now you can see there's an 18-wheeler out here. They're taking pallets of water on forklifts and moving it over to the parking lot here, getting it ready for everyone who wants to stop by here starting at 8:30 in the morning.
As many community members work to get back water and electricity, others are now searching for a new home. Many say they now don't know how they're going to make it through the aftermath. Renee Beninate joins us live from Forest Creek Apartments with more. Renee.
Carolyn, it may be deceiving because right now the flooding is gone, but the waters were so high that some people had to swim from their apartments to safety, and others were rescued on boats like this one.
Freeze up!
Satoria Hawley taking this video as Hurricane Sally hit her Pensacola apartment complex underwater. She stood on top of her dining room table as the floodwaters took over her home.
Are we even gonna make it through the night? Are we gonna survive this? Because it got that bad.
She tells me around 7 in the morning, the water continued to rise and she had to evacuate. Her only way out was to swim. Holly escaping with her 1-year-old grandson on her back.
We ended up jumping out my back window and swimming to a high ground behind us, and water moccasins was right beside me swimming.
Dozens living in the Forest Creek apartment complex had to be rescued from their homes that morning.
Right here in the same spot, the water was here. In the same exact spot, the water was here.
John Honeycutt doesn't live there, but took this canoe, saving at least 7 people and 2 dogs.
I heard children crying, so I went over there, got me a canoe boat. I went through here saving people, you know what I'm saying? It was just an act, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't nothing that I thought about doing.
The recovery process is far from over. Escambia County hasn't been able to receive an emergency declaration from FEMA. That would free up much needed money to help the community rebuild.
I'm tired, I've been taking blow after blow. I know it.
Holly says the help is needed now before it's too late.
I have patience, but I don't have patience. I don't, because at the end of the day, this is all I had. I was at rock bottom before I came here. I don't have nothing. Put yourself in our shoes. This is not right and it's not fair.
Tonight, the Florida Department of Emergency Management is reporting at least 600 people have been rescued between Santa Rosa and Escambia counties. Reporting live from Pensacola, Renee Beninate, Channel 3 News.
An uplifting update to a story we shared right here on Channel 3 News. A Pensacola woman who swam out of her home with her 1-year-old grandson on her back. This was during the hurricane. Well, she is now getting help from people she doesn't even know. Channel 3's Renee Beninate shows how strangers are making things happen.
We first told you about Satoria's heartbreaking story this weekend. Now community members are coming together to help her out. Take a look at this trunk full of supplies for her and her family, and that's not all.
Thank you. I'm just saying, you know.
Satoria Holly speechless and breaking into tears after receiving donations from strangers Monday. Charlene Jones saw Channel 3 News' story and rallied her classmates and other community members together to bring Holly help now. They collected food, water, and clothes for Holly and her family. On top of that, they also gave her a brand new TV and a very generous financial donation. It was an emotional moment we caught on camera.
I'm so overwhelmed.
That's okay. It's
Because
okay.
love been coming from everywhere.
That's
And for
okay.
everyone that helped, donated anything to me, $1, $5, the ones I couldn't mention, the ones I couldn't even remember because there's so many people. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all.
I said she needs it now. You know, she doesn't need it next week. She needs it now. It's our responsibility as Christians, as humans, to help other people.
The county leaders say your pictures and videos of your damage helped show FEMA and the president that the major need in this area for individual assistance. Channel 3's Renee Beninate spoke with one Pensacola family who says this help was long overdue.
Virginia Mance tells me she's feeling some sense of relief knowing she can now get some help from FEMA. But she says the rebuilding process is far from over. Virginia Mance's Myrtle Grove home now covered in blue tarp. This massive tree crashed through the roof and into her son's bedroom during the hurricane.
And as it was crashing through the house, I just kind of slung them into the kitchen as my little babies folded their hands and started praying for us.
Thankfully, the boys weren't sleeping there
This is where we were sitting.
because the family had moved to the hallway for safety.
They wouldn't have made it. I don't believe they would have made it.
Mance says surviving the storm was one thing, but making it through the aftermath has been even more difficult. She's one of many Escambia County residents who couldn't get any individual help from FEMA for more than 2 weeks.
And we got out with our lives. It's just really hard to go on without assistance, without no one trying to help us.
Mance made call after call, but
National Disaster Association, FEMA, Red Cross, and we just kept getting walls.
Friday, FEMA announced they're starting to provide individual assistance in Escambia County. That means people will have access to more resources to help them rebuild. Right now, Mance is in the process of applying for aid, but she doesn't understand what took so long.
We should have been having assistance immediately. They should have had more than just water and hot food for us, you know?
Reporting in Escambia County, Renee Beninate, Channel 3 News. Gloria Horning says the storm didn't only bring wind and rain to her home, she says it also brought feces, and the mess hasn't been cleaned up yet.
Hey, Chris, will you go help my friend?
Dr. Gloria Horning's home now gutted. What's left of it now sits in a pile in her front yard.
Oh, that can be saved. Nothing wrong with that. Not that there's anything level in this house.
This is what her street used to look like.
They call it a flash flood for a reason. It happened that fast.
Her home was flooded with several feet of water during Hurricane Sally. She and her dog had to be rescued in a boat by the National Guard.
My dog started barking at the floor, and it was coming up like little geysers. And the next thing, I put my waders on, next thing I knew, it was up to my hip.
The flooding is now gone, but Horning is concerned about what the runoff brought to the area. Horning says manholes overflowed, spilling sewage into the streets, and it hasn't been cleaned up yet.
This is an environmental hazard. And they cannot continue to sort of thumb their nose up at it and say it's not an issue. ECUA blames the city blames ECUA.
I called ECUA. Spokesperson Natalie Bauer says the manhole wasn't overflowing today.
No, we've been waiting for this to be cleaned up.
Okay, well, I ain't got nothing to do with that.
That's what everyone says.
She says most of the similar problems seen during the storm have been fixed.
It's not just about me. It's about all of that is going into our storm drains and then going into the bay.
Lawsuits are underway against Skanska, the builder of the 3 Mile Bridge. Several of their giant barges broke free during the hurricane. 2 of them knocked out the new span of the 3 Mile Bridge over Pensacola Bay. Channel 3's Renee Beninate is live with details. Renee.
If you live in this area, you've most likely been affected in some way by the closure of the 3 Mile Bridge here, and it's not going to be fixed overnight. Now some attorneys want Skanska to pay for this. The 3 Mile Bridge broken, large sections missing, a crane laid over the road, and 8 barges went loose from this site. Some crashing into people's backyards during Hurricane Sally.
Everyone was preparing except for Skanska.
Associate attorney with Levin Papantonio tells me Skanska failed to properly secure their equipment before the storm. Senator Doug Broxton tells Channel 3 News there's a possibility the pylons could be damaged. He estimates it could take 60 days to fix. Until then, it's closed.
You know, the company that was supposed to safeguard our transportation and make all of our areas more accessible and make it easier for us to transport back and forth have made it more difficult by what they did, and really more what they didn't do in securing these barges.
We asked Skanska why.
Mother Nature threw us all a curveball, a hard one.
They tell us they secured the barges and crane preparing for 30-mile-per-hour winds. By the time they learned the conditions would be a lot worse, it was too late.
If we had known a Category 2 hurricane was physically coming, it literally takes 4 to 5 days to physically prepare for that. And we would have had to have begun that late last week, and none of us had that information.
Levin Papantonio plans on filing class action and individual lawsuits against the company.
If someone's dog was destroyed, if their house was destroyed because the barge came through it.
Representing businesses and people hurt emotionally and financially because of what happened.
Because they travel every day using that bridge, or they rely on that bridge to bring customers or to bring employees to their areas.
We'll have more information on how you can join this lawsuit on our website at weartv.com. Live from the 3 Mile Bridge, Renee Beninate, Channel 3 News. We've gotten call after call into our newsroom, people pleading for help, saying their homes were destroyed and they're wondering where to go. But there aren't many options.
Right here is where I live. The ceiling have caved in.
Angela Buford showing us what's left of her home. The ceiling is collapsing. Trees plowed through her windows and the home was flooded. The stench of mold and mildew, unbearable.
We lost things, but we can always get things. As long as we have our life, we just thank God that we were safe. We had pork lawn, Hot Pockets, we had everything.
Before Hurricane Sally, Buford lived here with 11 family members, including her mom.
All my food and everything, got no life. It's stressful.
After the storm, their landlord deemed the property unsafe to live in.
So right now we're homeless.
Buford says she can't afford to pay for a hotel. The shelters in the county are closed, and FEMA isn't offering any temporary housing options yet.
Even before the pandemic, even before the hurricane, we had a shortage of affordable housing.
I talked to Escambia County Commissioner Luman May. He represents Buford's district. He says the county did receive a major disaster declaration from the president today, but it offers no help to individuals.
The individual assistance has to be a federal declaration, and the only person that can sign that is the President of the United States.
May says that separate declaration would provide funding for FEMA trailers, blue tarp programs, or temporary housing. Buford says that help is needed now.
To have everything in one day and then the next minute you lose everything. Because we are in a crisis down here. We really need somebody to come help us.